the TWD Universe podcast. My name is Adam Vale. I'm an editor over at the Koalition.com. That's with a K. And tonight, as usual, I'm joined by editor in chief Richard Bailey Jr. What's up, Rich?
What's up, Adam? What's up, listeners and viewers?
And throwdowns, Carlos Romero, the classic, the legend. What's up, man?
Yo, what's going on, everyone?
All right. Real quick housekeeping. Thanks again, people, for the views and the listens over on iTunes and on Spotify, and of course on YouTube and the Coalition, the website itself. It's always great when people jump in because we not only cover this show, but we also have Power. We do a lot of that. When we have our entertainment editor, Dana, she's always doing interviews and stuff. So if you're into TV, go ahead, check that out. Of course, we do game reviews and all kinds of other stuff. I just wanted to give that out of the way because a lot of people always ask, like, what kind of site is that? What do you mean? It's been around over 10 years. This podcast has been, almost 4 years now, 4 or 5. I mean, the pandemic years flew by. So, well, we're still sort of in that, but man, there was no content. But yeah, we were still around doing stuff, covering this. So, that's it. Just wanted to get that out of the way. So, also, quick disclaimer: if you have not seen Tales of the Walking Dead, episode 2, Blair and Gina, you can go ahead and do so now. It's available on AMC Plus. They post a week early if you don't know. If not, you could just wait until it airs on AMC proper. All right, so we will be discussing spoilers and other topics. So I'm giving you a heads up. If you haven't seen it, you can go and come back later. If you're ready for it, we're going to start. 3, 2, 1. This was hot garbage, people. This was a horrible episode. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subbing. We're out. Man, this was so bad. I'm not exaggerating, people. If you followed us and you know that we semi-rage quit on World Beyond because of how bad the storytelling was in that one, even some of the acting. But it went nowhere. So here it is. We have Tales of Walking Dead. We know it's an anthology and they're going to tell their stories, but we just assumed that it was going to be somewhat relevant to the Walking Dead universe in some way. Like, makes sense. I don't know. Just in my mind, I was thinking, oh, this is going to be what Terry Crews, Olivia Munn's character, were doing in episode 1, and it was just going to be a little more impactful and stick with the theme that it is dark. Okay, that's the whole thing of The Walking Dead, right? It's not supposed to be sunshine or rainbows or any goofiness going on. It's dreary, and if people complain about that, then they don't watch, because that's what it was about. The first 2 seasons, that's why everyone loved it so much. And even when people started rage quitting when Glenn died, which we knew was going to happen because it happened in the comics, but they were like, how dare they do this? Oh, he's a main character. I was like, yeah, that's uncommon, and in some cases on TV, unless someone leaves the show. But in the comic, it happened. It went down, and a lot of favorite characters passed away. So I just find it funny that people like flipped out. But the point is, it was dark. The series is known for being dark. It's not supposed to be, oh, everything is peachy creamy, or we're just going to survive and have some good times along the way. No. So when this episode drops, Blair and Gina, at first, from the teaser, it sort of looked like, oh, it's an office environment. We find out it's an insurance company, and so they're getting all these calls, and craziness is going to happen. Well, craziness did happen. This was a Groundhog's Day. This was, which never gets explained, but this was very much, it reminds me of Tales of the Dark Side. Not so much a Twilight Zone, but the cheaper version, where there's no ending, there's no reasoning, it just happens, and you just have to deal with it. I was not expecting something like this at all, and this was horrible. Just the delivery, the presentation, all of it. It did nothing for me. I could not believe how disappointed I am with this episode. What did you guys think?
But other than that, what did you think?
Oh, yeah. What I think? It was a butter show. No, I can't believe it. And I mean, and I said it off air, but Parker Posey, she's one of my favorite actresses. She's a working actress. I feel like she's almost in everything. She was recently in Lost in Space, and she's done that Party Girl classic from 1995. I love that movie. She's been on a lot of works, and again, I don't really feel like it's too much to blame on the acting as it's just the storytelling, the writing. It's like, what are you thinking? What is this? What is this?
Yeah, it's difficult, when we went in blind to the Terry Crews episode, where it's like we're thinking, okay, so it's The Walking Dead, but with different stories. How are they surviving? How are they going along? And that one was kind of, the first episode was kind of like that, but I think for them the most important thing was the whole the whole thing with the bunker, and it's like we're trying to figure out who each one of us is as a person. I feel like that, like I feel like for the writers, the climax of that story was Terry Crews and Olivia Munn to tell each other to dissect each other's personality and who they are and what their flaws are. And I feel like it was the same thing was for this one. It's just delivered in the most weird, extreme way. Like they're trying to do, like Adam mentioned, Groundhog Day, live, die, and repeat. All these, this trope where you don't know if they're trying to do their version of the Twilight Zone or an actual Walking Dead. Because if they're, at this point, then why even name it The Walking Dead? Because it has nothing to do with Walking Dead. It's just them trying to be as clever as they can to tell a story of two people, and it didn't even pay out that well. And the climax of this one was both of them coming into terms of who each other is. Oh, one of them's a jerk. One of them, it was a jerk boss, and the other one was I don't know what the flaw with the other one was. I guess she stayed too long and didn't really talk.
She wasn't ambitious, and remember she went to college. She was for marketing, but she didn't go to an Ivy League school, so she couldn't make it. So she ended up as a receptionist. And Rich, before we jump into you, I'm just gonna really quick because I know we were just ranting, but for those who haven't seen the episode, just so you know, you didn't really miss much, and it makes it seem like we're cutting a lot. We really weren't, because the gist of it is it's an insurance company. You have Blair, who is the manager of this insurance company. You have Gina, who is the receptionist. So the things have just hit the fan. The phones are going off the hook. Blair is saying, "Oh, don't worry about it. We're just gonna upscale and upsell our customers on different packages. This will all blow over. CDC's a few blocks away. Everything is fine." Right. So she tells everybody they have to stay to work. She doesn't care that she's going on a vacation, which is a lie. She's packing up with her boyfriend and they're leaving town. Right? On the way there, though, they have to go get gas. When they get to a gas station, there's long lines, and then she sees up ahead a car pull into in front of the gas station, and out comes Gina. It's like, what is Gina doing here? She flips out at her. Gina takes out a shotgun because she tries to go in the store. She can't go in the store. She wants gas. There's a gas truck that's there that's filling up the tanks for the gas station, but she doesn't care. She whips out this gun, and Blair confronts her. Long story short, the gun goes off, hits the tanker. They die. Everyone dies. It's there. There was it was a Homeland Security guy was in one of the cars. He dies. Everyone dies. But it flashes like a blink of an eye, and then next it's repeat again. Now it's Blair and Gina, and they're back at the insurance company, and it's the same thing. Eventually, Blair discovers that Gina is also the one experiencing the loop and going through the whole groundhog thing, and they're trying to figure it out, and they're trying different patterns, and there's some things that make no sense, which we'll get into. But just the premise alone, Rich, what did you think when you saw the first go around of the explosion, and then all of a sudden, poof, they respawn and they're back at the insurance company?
Well, I thought it was complete BS. The entire episode, yeah. Now, I will say this. I am a Groundhog Day fan. I think that Bill Murray would be very disgusted if he saw this episode and what they tried to do, because as you said, there was a lot of stuff that didn't make sense. As far as this whole concept with the Tales of the Walking Dead, I really feel like, at least for the first two episodes, they mainly were focused on, let's get some people that everybody knows and likes on the show. Let's forget about the story. Let's forget about the logic of how it's connected to Walking Dead. Let's just get stars on the show. And that tactic seems to be working, because the first episode, the general response from that first episode is people want to see Terry Crews and Olivia Munn back. So
Mhm.
that's what their goal was. As for these two characters, though, as I told Carlos off air, I don't really care about the characters. So if they died, I would prefer they stay dead. I don't want to see them on any future Walking Dead shows because they're not really characters you care about. And again, if these are characters that you knew from earlier seasons, if maybe they were on The Walking Dead or this show came a long time ago before Walking Dead got a lot more detailed, then maybe I would have a care and concern for them. But they both just are horrible characters in this episode. You don't really feel sympathetic to either one of them. A couple of those sequences you mentioned, Adam, where stuff didn't make sense. There was stuff where Parker Posey's character, Blair, would just randomly insert herself into whatever Gina was doing, and that would create tension, and it would be the same result where they get killed. It didn't
How
make any
did
kind of
she
sense.
catch up? That was one, or maybe there was two of them, because they were doing a little montage where you would just keep seeing that they were trying different attempts, and then they would still end up dying. Where Gina is driving the tanker truck, and Blair is running after the truck, and she actually jumps onto the side, in the passenger side door. I'm like, how? How are you doing it? That doesn't even make sense. This thing is flying down, and they show it, and she's way back there, back at the gas station, but she catches up. It was silly. It was silly.
Yeah, it was very silly. And as far as the whole office environment vibe, there are a lot of great shows out there where if you want to talk about the office environment, they do it a hell of a lot better. Severance, a very good example of that.
Awesome show.
So it feels to me like AMC is just, we got a whole bunch of ideas. We're going to just throw a whole bunch of stuff and see what works. And this episode did not work for me at all.
Oh, yeah.
Go
ahead.
The whole purpose of this show, it's Tales of the Walking Dead. It's telling the story of different people that are surviving through this apocalypse. Essentially, it's their stories, but it's not their stories. It's them trying to be, like Twilight Zone. Are You Afraid of the Dark? That type of show where it's like, oh, like let's make it kind of funny with a gimmick where it makes no sense, where it doesn't tie into anything. It's not a show that's trying to make zombies realistic and somehow now time travel or whatever that repeating thing is, that loop. It's like you're just taking me out of the tension of the environment, which is the apocalypse and a zombie apocalypse. That's supposed to be the tension, and then that's where you develop the characters and how they traverse and how they progress and how they persevere through this. That's the story you want to tell. You don't want to tell a story of an office worker just going crazy at some person over and over again. The only time the walkers ever come into play is just that one scene where the lady gets bitten at the gas station. That's the only time. And then at the end when they burn all the bodies there, but
and it's still not explained, because their whole thing that they noticed, they were trying to pick up a pattern, and they noticed that they could never make it to 5 o'clock. Right? They were like, yeah, and every time they would loop back in, they would still die before 5 o'clock. So eventually they get in the tanker and they were able to break through a police barrier, and they're flying through and they get into an accident. But then they see that there's all these people, they're on an overpass, and there's all these people that are below running because there's walkers chasing them. So they say, hey, well, we have a gas and we're going to dump a bunch of gas, and we're going to light one of Blair's scarves that she has and drop that, and kaboom. Right, the whole thing blows, and then they get blown back. I was like, oh, they're gonna die. No, they don't die. They don't die. They don't get 3rd-degree burns or anything. Meanwhile, this was just blew up right in front of them. But whatever. And they stand up and they realize, wow, we made it. It's past 5 o'clock. What are we gonna do? Well, let's go help your nieces out, for Gina's nieces. And then that's it. That's how it ends. Like, how did this happen? What caused this? Nothing. And like you said, they were trying to tell us a story and like some kind of moral story with this, but it didn't go anywhere. It didn't materialize. It's like, yes, the Blair was a horrible boss. We find out little tidbits from her coworkers. One of them who has a daughter, and the door was always unlocked in the back, and it's because he would come in early so he could leave early so he can pick up his daughter. And it's like, oh, you would, to Blair, it's like you would have known this if you pay attention to your staff. And it's like, oh, okay. So then when she dies and she comes back, oh, go home, run home, everybody go but that didn't even do any good, because she still died. So it's not like
Well,
So,
it's. Oh, go ahead, Rich.
oh no, I have a question after you, but go ahead, Carlos.
It's just the loop gimmick just made everything feel so inconsequential. So all the decisions, I understand why they did it, because it's like, okay, keep messing up, keep messing up, keep messing up. Eventually, you're going to start learning about yourself. You're going to start learning about the other people, and you're going to progress better as a person. But it's like, in this type of show, I just don't understand why this is a Walking Dead show. This is you should just name it something else.
Yeah, it's
Just
like
name it
the
something
Outer
else.
Limits or something. It has nothing to do with The Walking
What?
Dead. And if they, because there's walkers, come on now. We got plenty of shows that had zombies in them. So.
Why limit yourself to the Walking Dead universe if you're going to make a show that's about bunkers and about looping? There's been movies that have been done about that, and it's crazy, man.
Well, so let me start by saying I agree with. I think you said it best, Carlos. It should not be called The Walking Dead because it is in no way connected to The Walking Dead. They just throw things in there to remind you, okay, this is during the zombie apocalypse, but it has absolutely nothing to do with the overall arc of what The Walking Dead is to a lot of fans. So I agree with that. And the point
it's not
that
possible. It's not possible. We can't loop.
What?
What causes that? That's the big question. That's what's happening throughout the whole show. I mean, there's a show on Netflix, Russian Doll, that had something similar to that, but they focus on it. Yes, this character keeps looping and things are happening, but that is the focal point. What's causing it? And that's not the focal point. At first, like, well, whatever. Now we made it past 5. Let's go. Not like, how did this happen? How did we get stuck in this loop? Are other people stuck in a loop?
Exactly. And let me ask you both a question, and perhaps a viewer can answer this question if you don't know the answer. Why the hell did Gina have the shotgun? Was there an explanation? Because I missed that in the whole dialogue.
She said that she lived in a bad neighborhood with her brother, and that's why she carried it, because they said the same thing. What's with the shotgun?
It was her brother's shotgun.
Yeah, and it was because the Homeland Security guy in one of the loops, he checked the registration on it and said, this is not registered to you. And she was like, no, it's my brother. And, that's why I have it in there. It's a bad neighborhood. And, I work late nights and the whole thing, because she can't leave early. Because that was the other thing. It's like, during all this craziness, even when in one of the loops where she said everyone could go home, Gina had to stay. She was like, no, you stay.
But Gina decides to use the gun to hold the guy up to get gas.
Yeah. Well, not just some gas, all the gas, like the whole damn truck, which makes no sense. Also,
it doesn't make any sense. No.
No. If anything, you just wait, and then you pick your time and you skip the line with the gun. Like, hey, I'm first, and then that's it. But no, it too many holes, and just the overall story of this looping. I mean, it's horrible, because it's like pulling back the curtain on a magic show, because when you see a magic show, we all know it's magic. We know it's not real, but we're there to be fooled and entertained. And then when we know when we watch The Walking Dead, it's gory and all the stuff. Something like this hasn't happened. Most likely, hopefully, knock on wood, will never happen. But then when you throw in this science fiction element of looping that could just automatically occur randomly, and you don't explain it, like linking it to what's causing the walkers to come back in some way, then it's like, we're throwing anything. It's shenanigans. It's all BS. Next episode, we're going to have aliens come down with lasers and start shooting people. And when they shoot them, they turn them into walkers. It's like anything goes at this point. And if that's where they were going with this show, then they really need to call it something else. Walking Dead Bizarre Tales or something like that. Just not anthology. No, not Tales of the Walking Dead, because these people are not experiencing that yet. This whole episode was just about, why are they looping? It wasn't a walker that killed her the first go around. It was Gina shooting a tanker every single time, causing them to die. So it's not like, oh man, these walkers, every time I go down this alleyway, they catch me. I went to this way, they catch me. There's always, I run down the street, it's open, I trip on something and they catch me. No, that did not happen. It was Gina blowing up the tanker. The tanker blew up every time.
Yes.
Except the alley when she went to the alley and she purposely, Blair wanted to die. And she was like, all right, just bite me, get it over with. And she still wanted looping back.
Yeah, see, none of that made sense. I was going to make a comment and say, you said bizarre tales or bizarre worlds. That sounds like a better title. Just get rid of Walking Dead and just call the show that, and then it's fine. Then there will be no expectations from the people who are fans that this is in any way
it's all done. This will be known as the forgettable tales of the Walking Dead because no one needs. I mean, man, I thought it couldn't get any worse than World Beyond. And this just pulled straight to the top. It didn't even go second place. It was just like that rope, from Ninja Warrior. It just climbed to the top and hit the buzzer like me. I'm the worst you're ever gonna get. Oh Lord, get ready.
Well, let me say this real quick. I know Carlos was about to say something. I just want to make a quick comment to answer the question as to why The Walking Dead is in the title. I think we all know why that is, because I don't think AMC has that many shows left. They just finished Better Call Saul. Fantastic show. Excellent finale.
Oh, great show. Great show.
No spoilers.
No spoilers. But if you want something real quick, shout out to a friend of the show, Steve Varley. He's got a good YouTube channel. Did a great review on it. So go check him out. Go ahead, Rich.
Awesome. But so the point that I'm making here, though, is that I think they know they don't really have too many shows. So this is why you're probably getting all these Walking Dead spinoffs, because they know people recognize the name. Maybe they don't want to take any risk and try to create something different. But I could be wrong, because they could have other shows on AMC. I just don't know, because those shows don't stand out to me and I don't watch them. So,
well, not even that. It's like in the writing room when they were like, all right, we got 6 episodes. All right, let's hear these scripts. Who thought this was a good idea? This is not even relevant. Who said, yeah, let's go with that one? In fact, let's go with that one. It's episode 2. That's right. Just when people are getting a feel of this, let's just throw it in their face. Because I'm sure when this comes out, this is going to put a bad taste in people's mouths on this. And they'll be like, you know what? We're not watching any more of this crap. We will just wait for Walking Dead proper to come. And then when that's over, so is my cable subscription and AMC Plus. We'll cancel. Boop. That's it. We're out. We'll move on to something else.
Well, I mean, that's where the Rick and Michonne show are coming, and the Maggie and Negan show are coming, and the Daryl and someone other than Carol show is coming.
I'm telling you right now, I have very low expectations right now. I was hyped, especially with Isle of the Dead. That sounds amazing. You're back in New York. You're running around. You got running walkers. This is gonna be great. But if this is the direction that they're going with, it's gonna be a joke. It's gonna be.
This show is supposed to be about sort of humanity and how, like I mentioned before, how they persevere through unforeseen, an unforeseeable future where it's them against everything. And this show, it's like I don't know if that's the purpose of the show. It's fine if you're doing some twists and turns there, but you got to have the same inspirations, because
like
at the end of the day,
the show is to get rid of Walking Dead fans. That seems like the purpose.
Well, yeah,
it's like you're at the club and they turn on the lights. It's like, whoa, it's time to go home, buddy.
I don't feel like dancing anymore.
Yeah, do you see the girl in front of you? Yeah, that wasn't the girl before. All right, the lights are on. Get on out, because this is horrible. If somebody was to just tune in now, who's just looking for their Walking Dead fix, was like, oh man, I miss Walking Dead, and don't really follow all of it, but you like watching it. It was part of your routine at one point, and then there's a new series, Tales. Oh, all right, I'm gonna give it a shot. Let's do. What the hell is this? It's just it's disappointing.
And that's the reason. One of my biggest things when we started the show is I'm trying to figure out how the hell are they going to make us care about these people within one episode. And their answer is, we're not. We're going to get the gimmicks to make you fall for the show. And that's where they fall flat.
You know what? I was thinking after I watched this, and I noticed one pattern between this one and the first one that's been developing, is that both of the main characters survive. And so I was thinking of 400 Days, which was part of Tales of the Walking Dead. No, Telltale. Sorry, Telltale Games. They did a series of the first season, and then they had this one episode off. It was called like 400 Days or 400 Days, something to that effect. But the point was that there was like a bulletin board, and there was different characters, and then you pick, and they were very short. They were maybe like 15 minutes long or whatever. But you play, and they're going through their own situation. Everyone's dealing with some in different scenarios. One guy's on a bus to prison, and there was another couple in a car accident, and another. Anyway, the point is that at the end of that piece, they all get together. The people that did survive, they've somehow found each other and created their own little community. And that's what I'm wondering if we're going to get here. If that's the reason that they had all these people survive, that episode 6, they're all going to be connected, because that's one thing. So far from what we've seen with both the episode 1 and 2, the groups, the two parties here, they're on the move. They're not staying put. They're on the move. We know one is still in. She's the Blair and Gina. That's Atlanta, right? Because remember they were talking about with the police officer and stuff, and
it was like outside Atlanta.
Yeah, outside Atlanta. And I don't know where Joe and Evie were headed. Now that I think they were just looking for other people, because that's what they said. We're just going to go on the road because they their mission ended. So if that happens, that's going to suck even more, because it's like, how do you? I mean, if they go off the wall with the other episodes, then it'll top it. But right now, how does Blair and Gina explain their situation when they're all together? It's like, oh, what happened to you guys? Well, I was in a bunker, and then I went to find another one. Hey, it was horrible, but I found this chick along the way. What about you? Well, we kept dying and then respawning and dying and respawning. And it's like, all right, these girls are on drugs, so kick them out of the group. They're freebasing or something, because that is not possible. And that's what I'm saying by breaking it, because at some point, yes, we know this is not real, but maybe something like this could happen. Maybe some chemical, rabies for humans, that type of thing could happen. We've seen 28 days later, those type of things, 12 monkeys. So, but when you put a groundhog thing, that could never happen. That could never happen. I'm sorry. That could never happen. And it just breaks everything completely for me. So that is my complaint for anyone that was like, come on now, it's just a show with zombies. How could you even overthink anything like that? I was like, well, I could, because this really doesn't make sense. We've never seen in all the years, over 13 years now of Walking Dead content for these shows, have seen anything like this happen. No, never. We've seen them have nightmares and wake up, and then it's like, oh wow, you were dreaming, and then it comes to pass because they were having like almost like a deja vu moment, those type of things. But no. And from what I've seen from the teaser, Alpha is the next one, right? The story of Alpha and Lydia.
That will probably be the only decent one that I could think of so far.
That one looks serious. That one looks serious. At least the way they portrayed it, that looks serious.
Yeah, and it looks like a real Walking Dead actual show. But we'll see what happens. I can't speak for the other 3 because I don't know anything about those yet. But the next one looks like to be what we should expect from these Tales of the Walking Dead.
Yeah, I'm still gonna watch it just in hope that at least we get one decent episode. And we were hyped when we first found out that she was coming back to tell a story of her past, because we did get some of it during the little flashback within Walking Dead proper of her story with her husband and all that, and having a hard life. But this is going to go a little more into detail, and it looks like you see them more on the run, getting to that point.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is weird, because when they did show Alpha's backstory, that is how she met Beta, because she was on the run, remember, and she was seeking shelter. So this has to be a very small window, only because from the trailer, it looked like they were already running from walkers and from the husband in that situation, and we already know the outcome of that. So I'm still interested to see where,
which is why I'm not looking forward to it.
Yeah, the only twist. Here we go, because I've got to come up with a what if, and how do you salvage something like this, is if at episode 6, and like I was just bringing up about the full circle and everyone coming together, what if these people become Whisperers. And that was it. Alpha, clearly this is the ground level of her creating the group, and these are the people that she found. And we didn't see them. They were always there. That's what they can say, but they were wearing skin masks.
So that sounds like a good idea. So good that now it definitely won't happen.
Yeah,
but
right?
It's nice to dream, though. It's nice to dream for sure.
Yeah. That's the only way it would really make sense at the end, because then it was like, oh man, what happened to them? They all went wandering. And then we see Alpha like in a meeting or whatever, and then maybe they just got attacked, or one of them is dead. I said, well, we could take her mask, right? She was a friend of yours, right? To take her mask, we could reuse it for someone else. And then they take it off, and it's Blair. Or it's a Olivia Munn character. I mean, it's going to be hard to be Terry Crews because the dude is jacked and he was huge. He can, from what I recall from the Whispers, the largest member of the group was Beta, right? Like when they showed all of them walking, side by side doing their slow creeper walk, he stood out. There was no one. There wasn't another tower with him, and Terry Crews is pretty tall, so I don't know. And he's definitely wide, but. That's my little shot in the dark if that comes to pass, of all of them coming together in the final episode. But I mean, that's pretty much it. Anything else you guys want to say about this damn episode?
Well, at least we don't have to watch it ever again in a loop. So
right. Yep, there you go.
So I'm just happy that it was over. It's sad because we weren't fans of the first show, but in retrospect, by looking at this episode, the first one looks good.
Oh man, yeah.
But that's only we're grading it on a curve because how bad this episode is. It might be one of the worst episodes of Walking Dead I've ever seen. Could be the worst.
Oh, it is for me. It is.
I didn't watch World Beyond, so I was blessed with not being.
No.
World Beyond tried. It tried to fit things, even though it didn't work. This didn't try at all. This was just out.
I will watch. If we know that the End of Fear last season was not good either, but I will watch both of those shows before I will watch this episode again. That's for certain.
Yeah, and that draws concern because remember we were also high on Fear. We loved Fear, and Fear last season, the first part was awesome. It was great. We got the gas mask, and we got the submarine, all this craziness going on. The nuke. And then after the break, it came back, and the story got nuked. Everything fell apart. None of it started making sense. It just, So hopefully this is not a trend, and that this is going to continue for everything else. Because if it is, then they're just running this franchise into the ground. Because we know we got 8 more episodes coming of Walking Dead proper. And for, I'm sure, a large majority of viewers out there, that's when they're just checking in their Walking Dead membership card and they're leaving, right? It happens with most. It's very rare that an entire group of people will carry over to a spinoff like what we've seen with Better Call Saul. But the difference with that is Better Call Saul is awesome. This is not. So... Well, we'll have to see. And we have, like we mentioned earlier, there's a few more spin-offs. We have the Daryl and question mark, because Carol, as if you don't know already, she already says she's not going to be part of that show because they're going to be filming in Europe. She doesn't want to move to Europe. That's understandable. Fine. That's a big jump right there, and she doesn't want to do it. So she's out. She's out for that. So who knows who is going to be alongside Norman Reedus for that one. Of course, we have Isle of the Dead. And then there is one other one that they said, and it's not the Michonne and Rick, because those are the movies. The movies are apparently still happening. That's still a thing. But there was one other one. But who knows? Maybe that one will just be a miniseries like this, where they're just throwing stuff out there to see if anyone's interested. And now I'm pretty sure no one's going to be interested in more of this type of content. So, all right, Rich, anything you want to say before we head out?
No, if you, I'm definitely curious to hear what everybody thinks of this particular episode. So please do consider leaving a comment. Let us know your thoughts, as well as if you enjoy the conversation, please feel free to like the video and consider subscribing. But
Yep.
looking forward to seeing if the next episode is better than these first two.
Yep, you can do that. All right, people. That was another one. And look at the flowers. Peace.